Well, we have our live watch along for the Inter Miami Columbus Crew match. Two unbeaten teams, two of the best teams in the league, maybe the two best teams in the league. Now, Vancouver obviously would want to have a word about that if they are, in fact, the best team in MLS. But I think we're going to get some clarity about these two teams today, see who wins, see how they play. Obviously, Miami is undefeated, new coach, fix the defensive issues that they've had last year, and they're going to play in the CONCACAF Champions Cup next week. But so we will see how they prepare for this game because they got to play Vancouver, which is another tough battle next week. We'll see how they play this game and how much time Messi and Suarez and all these guys play. But before we get into that, welcome. It's going to be an interesting game. We'll see who wins. Make sure you like this video down below. Share with a friend. Let's grow the audience as much as we can. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We hit 6,500 subs yesterday, which is a great accomplishment for the channel. Seems surreal, honestly. And had a live stream, emergency live stream last night for the LAFC news of them letting go, or Steve Cherundolo announced he's leaving at the end of the season, which we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. Roller says, "What's up, Will? Roller, how's it going?" Roller also says, "Galaxy are cooked, bro." We will talk about that too, because we got to have a discussion about what they need to do going forward, because this is getting ridiculous, honestly. Parker says, "Too bad for LAFC. Their season went down the toilet." And that's another thing too people have talked about is, if you know Dolo's leaving at the end of the year, shouldn't you just go ahead and get rid of him now? He's a lame duck coach. I think players, it's not, I'm not saying the players aren't competitive, because obviously are, but like when you know your coach is leaving at the end of the year, not on good terms, I think it can really kill the momentum and the desire and the fire for the team. So I think maybe, who knows, if things go really bad, maybe they'll move off of him sooner than later. Maybe they'll fire him in the summer. I think they're going to announce their new manager in the summertime anyway. Mr. a member of the channel, which I greatly appreciate, says, "Hi, Will. Happy Easter to you and the family, mate." Happy Easter to you as well. Happy Easter, everyone. Hopefully everybody has a good Easter and a good Easter and enjoys the weekend. Appreciate you for being a member, Mr. Glad you could join us. Janet says, "Good starting 11." Yeah, we'll look at that here in a second. Parker says, "Will Messi play in this game? I don't know, but this is so exciting." Yes, he will be playing. Messi is starting. And the question is, how many minutes is Messi going to play? Because, like I said, they have a Champions League final game, or not a final, but a semifinal match against the first leg against Vancouver next Wednesday, which we will be doing a live stream for that too. Have to. Hey, this is the Champions League is intensifying. We're getting closer and closer to see who the champion's going to be. And MLS will have for the fourth year in a row, we'll have a team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. So we're obviously going to cover that, and hopefully that they will win again this year. It's been 3 years since they won with the Seattle Sounders in 2022. Parker says, "Roller had to ask since there was a controversy over him not playing in certain games." Yeah, he's definitely going to play in this game. And look, the controversy with this game is that it's being played in Cleveland. This is a big game, obviously, for Columbus, because it's technically a home game, and they're having to travel. I want to say Columbus is like 3-4 hours away from Cleveland. So they're having to travel 3 or 4 hours northeast to play in this game in Cleveland. And I do feel for the fans, because it's not convenient to travel that far. I'm not really sure why they didn't play in like the Ohio. If they wanted a bigger venue, I'm not sure why they didn't play at the Ohio State Stadium, the Horseshoe. But obviously they're doing this for money, because there's going to be more people at this game. Looks like, I mean, it doesn't look completely sold out. It looks like maybe half capacity at this point, but they're still early before the game starts, like, a couple minutes, maybe 10. It looks people are still pouring in. So we'll see how many people end up being in the stands. But I'm curious how many Columbus Crew fans will be in the stands. It's a long drive. I mean, it's not convenient to drive just 4 hours, 8 hours round trip. Now, one of my buddies, Tommy, the Atlanta United fan, said he's going to be at the game because I think he lives close in the Cleveland area. He's going to check this game out. So there probably will be a lot of casual soccer fans who aren't necessarily a fan of either team at this game. Uwe says, "Cleveland to MLS." I find it. I would find it very hard to believe that there would be 3 teams in Ohio. I think 2 is probably the limit. Columbus and obviously Cincinnati. Never say never, but I think that would probably be further down the list of expansion cities. That wasn't on my list of top 5 cities that deserve a team. Roller says Dolo out, baby. Yeah. I mean, we did a stream about that. That was surprising to see him go out on his own accord, but I think that the pressure was on him and he kind of saw the writing on the wall and he got ahead of it himself. And I think he would have been forced out, honestly. I still think that Dolo might be forced out. I don't know if he'll be there at the end of the year. I really don't know. Parker says Vancouver being good. I'm surprised because Vancouver always wins Canadian Cups, but the MLS is a whole different ball game. Yeah, I'm surprised they're as good as they are. Obviously, Vancouver, they fired Sartini last year. He was a decent coach. I didn't think he was bad. They get Jesper Sorensen, an unknown Danish manager. I mean, I honestly didn't know who he was. He comes in here pretty much the same roster, and they're the first place in the Western Conference. And this is a team that announced they were being for sale. They were being listed for sale at the beginning of the year because they didn't have the resources to commit to winning. And here they are at first place in the Western Conference. I would imagine that couldn't hurt the sell of the team. Maybe that would even maybe speed up the process. Maybe more people would be interested. I don't know. But I do think that with the success they're having, it would be harder for the team to be moved. I don't want Vancouver to be moved. I don't want them to be relocated to another city. I think that having 3 Canadian teams is a good thing, right? And Mr. can, chime in on this, obviously, because he's from the UK. But I mean, Wales has several teams that play either in the Championship or League One or League Two. I don't think Cardiff's like in the Championship right now, if I'm not mistaken. What is it? Ryan Reynolds' team. Why am I drawing a blank? Wrexham. Wrexham is in Wales, obviously. They are going to be in the Championship next year. So, I mean, it's very common that they're that close. I have no problem with Canadian teams being in MLS. I know some people do. I have no problem with it. Now, you don't want to have like 10 of them in MLS, but three is not too bad in my opinion. Mr. says, I'd have fired Dolo after the collapse against the Galaxy last year. They should have fired him last year. Honestly, they should have fired Dolo last year. They would have been ahead of the curve. They would have been able to get this new manager in here. And they put themselves a year. They wasted a season. And Giroux is going to be 39 this year. And now you have to have that looks like a lost cause at this point, because next year he'll be 40 when they have a new manager. Olivier Giroux is going to be 40 years old. It's hard to believe. It's really, really hard to believe. Mr. Crab says Crew fans online are calling this Save the Crew 2.0 because the game is in Cleveland. I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Like I said, they've been slighted because they lost a home game against a crucial opponent. And, they had to move it 4 hours northeast because the venue, they should have played it in Columbus. Now, I'm curious, who do you guys think is going to win this game? Because this is the two of the remaining unbeaten teams in Major League Soccer. I think they might be the two only remaining teams unbeaten in MLS. And looks like the stadium is kind of empty, especially up in the nosebleeds. But the lower bowl and the ends look pretty full. I would say probably 30,000, 35,000 people at this game. There is some Crew fans there. That's good to see. Happy that the Crew fans did make the trip to this game, to show support. Are some Miami fans, probably bandwagon Miami fans, in the stands, or just some Messi fans. But I'm glad that the Crew did make an appearance or did show up to this game, because this is technically their home game. Let's see. West side, the best side. Let's see. Parker says 2 hours and 6 minutes from Columbus. Okay, so not quite 3 hours, but still not a convenient drive, right? It's a 4-hour round trip if you go there and come back. We have a better chance of Jacksonville in MLS than Cleveland. Probably. Florida is. I think Tampa is. I know you're just being sarcastic and saying Jacksonville doesn't really have a chance either, but Florida's a market that could have 3 MLS teams. Mr. Krabs says, imagine if Leagues Cup final in 2023 was moved to Memphis. That's right here. That's this right here. The Leagues Cup 2023. Yeah, I guess. Well, Memphis is like close to 4 hours away, 3 hours away from Nashville. So I get what you're saying, though. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, especially. And think about this, Mr. Krabs. That's a final. This is just a regular season game, so that's why it's really weird to move this game like that. Roller says Dolo knew he was a definitive fraud on. He was at definitive fraud watch. Yeah, he's a fraud. We went through this last night of all the games he's choked since he's been at LAFC. I can't believe he lost 4 championships in a row, which is just unheard of. Any other um any other coach in any other serious league would have been fired. Love from IN. I'm assuming Indiana, maybe India. I don't know. Maybe. Appreciate you for stopping by and watching the game with us. Parker says, how about the Real Salt Lake sale? I'm a little confused about that because the guy who bought the team, if I'm not mistaken, owns the Sixers, the original guy, the guy before this. And I think he's still part of the ownership group. But the person who bought majority ownership group, I think, is the people who own the Jazz. So I think they just readjusted the majority and like how the ownership group was divvied up. But I mean, it's good. I mean, you want small market teams to have committed ownership groups that's willing to spend. That's why the Crew is good, right? Like Columbus is not a big market. And they got the Haslams, which if you're from Tennessee or know anything about Tennessee, the Haslams are very, very hit or miss with their either you hate them or you love them. But in sports, they're really hated. And they own the Browns. That's another thing you have to keep in mind. The Haslams, the guy that owns the Crew, also owns the Browns. So he owns the stadium. So that kind of makes a little bit of sense of why they're able to use this venue. But it is still kind of crazy to do it 2 hours away from the home stadium. Not even doing it at the Ohio State Stadium is crazy. But yes, I like that hopefully there will be some more cheap owners that are phased out and purchased by ambitious owners. Hopefully we'll see the Revs be sold one day. Hopefully we'll see Colorado be sold one day because Stan Kroenke's obviously wealthy, but he's not committed to the team like he is Arsenal. Hopefully we can phase out all these cheap owners. Jay says, shout out to all the Indians, hold it down. Okay, so was he from India? What do you think of a 4th MLS team in Canada, maybe Edmonton? I mean, I'd be okay with that. Maybe Edmonton or Winnipeg. There could be room for one more team. I think 4 would be the absolute max I'd go in MLS, though. 4 would be the absolute max. I don't think we can go more than 4. But I'd be okay with that. I would definitely be okay with that. Wax says, who is winning the Champions League? I would say Barcelona, hopefully, right? But Arsenal looks good too. I don't know. Arsenal, maybe Barca. I would say Barca. I think they're really dialed in this year, and I think they're going to win it this year. He's going to be 40. Yeah, Giroud's going to be 40 next year. It's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, really doesn't make sense. Like this, by the time this new coach comes in, he'll be in his 3rd year with LAFC. It just doesn't like this. This club is just not ran effectively like it used to be. It's just crazy. What do you think about a 4th MLS team in Texas, maybe San Antonio? I don't mind that, but there's just so many other markets that you have to hit. And I did a video on this. I think that Vegas has to be number 1. You have to have Phoenix on there. I think Tampa. I know you're an Inter Miami fan, Mr. Krabs, but I think Tampa's a good market. I think Florida. I think I would have 3 teams in Florida before I would have 4 teams in Texas. Now, San Antonio obviously is a huge market, but Austin's only like an hour and a half away, I think, from San Antonio. Tampa, I want to say, is like 2 hours away from Orlando. Maybe it's an hour and a half, depending on who's driving, right? I think that Tampa's got to, especially with the soccer history they have, I think Tampa's got to be on the short list too. But Vegas is my number one expansion market that doesn't have a team right now. It's got to be Vegas. Vegas has got to be next. Mr. I think he's talking about earlier when I mentioned, Wales having teams. He says it's because originally it was the FA of England and Wales, despite the Welsh already having an FA. Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, etc., were founded as already being tied to the England-Wales FA. And honestly, that's good for them, right? I mean, if Wales was its own entity, like it had its own league, or like most of its clubs, kind of like the Scottish Premiership or Ireland, it wouldn't be as good, right? I mean, having the chance to play in the Premier League is obviously going to elevate your potential as a team, right? By the way, guys, we're talking about a lot of MLS news, but this game is a big deal. Like this is a huge deal. And also Daniel Gazdak is starting in this game. This is his first game after being traded to Columbus. So Wilfred Nazi's getting more toys to play with, and some new pieces, some new chess pieces, and we'll see what he can do. And God help us all when they get a striker, how much better this team's going to be. It's going to be incredible. So I just can't believe this team has been down their best player the whole year, and they're still undefeated. It's absolutely crazy. Josh says, "Who do you think is winning MLS Cup?" It's still too early to tell because the summer transfer window, but I would say right now it probably would be Miami, or the East is just so deep. I mean, it could be Miami, it could be Columbus. I think Vancouver is really good. I just don't know how they're going to perform in the playoffs. I think that they might make it to the semifinals of the MLS Cup playoffs and then, start to simmer down a little bit, but there's a lot of good teams. A lot of bad teams too, but there's a lot of good teams that can win it this year. I would say Miami's still the favorite. Jay says Texas is a big state. California has 4 MLS teams, and having 3 MLS teams in Texas seems pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Texas has like 10 million less people than California. I think there's like 40 million in California. There's 30 million in Texas. So you're getting a team essentially every 10 million people, like in that regard. But yeah, I mean, you could have a team eventually, but right now there's better markets, I think, than any market doesn't currently have a team in Texas. Lando says, I think Pittsburgh would be a good location for another team. Pittsburgh would be interesting. They have, what is it? Is it the Riverhounds? I think is their USL team, if I'm not mistaken. Signing Giroux, Mr. Mister says, was all about enticing Griezmann, and that's the crazy thing. It did not work. I mean, signing Griezmann was what they put all their eggs in that basket, and it just did not work out for them. And I think that is just the downfall of their season. Jake says, hey guys, big fan of the channel from Wales in the UK. Hope everyone is doing well. Jake, I appreciate you for tuning in. Hopefully this is a good game. Obviously, it's not to the quality of what you're used to, but hopefully it's a very interesting, fun, exciting game. And I think it will be because, it's the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference right now to see who the best is. But guys, hey, make sure if you haven't already, like this stream down below. We're at like 12 likes. Let's get to 30 likes. 36 of you in the chat right now. Hit the like button, share with a friend. Let's grow our audience as much as we can. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And guys, we're going to find out who is the best team in MLS tonight, I think, outside of Vancouver. But also, hey, let's get some score predictions. Who do you think is going to got Jerry Judy here, Cleveland Browns wide receiver wearing the Columbus Crew kit. What is your score prediction tonight? Who is going to win? What is the score? Columbus Crew versus Inter Miami. Let me know down below who you have winning this match. Parker says Tampa is due another MLS team. They better keep the Rowdies name, though. I agree. Got to keep the heritage. You got to keep the tradition going with that. Mr. Mister says, honestly, the Welsh League isn't high quality. Yeah, it might be worse than, is it worse than Ireland's league? Mr. Krabs says, I'm surprised Detroit doesn't have an MLS team. I think they could, but it would have to be unique ownership situation. Okay, Mr. Mister says 2-1 Miami. It was a beautiful pass from Messi to Yande. Parker says Miami 3-0. Damn, you're really high on Miami. I think tonight it's going to be, what's funny is that they're both unbeaten, right? It would be funny if there was a draw again, so they're still unbeaten after this game, right? We get no clarity on who the better team is. But I think that this is going to be, I think a team's going to win this game. I think it's going to be, it's tough. It's tough. If Messi plays well and Suarez actually can score, because, Suarez only has 1 goal this year. If Suarez can score tonight, I think Miami will probably win. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Let me fix this real quick. Here we go. Let's see what the best one is. Here, we'll just keep this with the same results. So if you look at the history too, Miami's won 5 of the 9 matchups, 5 wins. Columbus has 3 and 1 draw. So Miami's pretty good against the Crew. Parker says, I mean, the Miami offense is otherworldly, and I think the Cleveland's defense can catch up. Cleveland's defense. Man, you're taking shots at Columbus, huh? The Crew's defense can't catch up of people of that caliber, and that sums from an Atlanta fan. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Columbus is definitely well. I mean, they're pretty well structured in the back line. You know, they're. I think they're probably the best defensive team, even if they don't. It doesn't show on the score sheet. Like I think that they haven't given up the least amount of goals, but they're just really organized. And you have to give Wilfred Nancy credit for that. And this is a showdown too to see who is the better manager between the two, Wilfred Nancy or Javier Mascherano. Now Wilfred Nancy is obviously more accomplished at this point, but Javier Mascherano looks pretty good. Like he looks like he's been an improvement over Tata Martino. I mean, he's already made it further than him in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And honestly, too, I got to point this out. Diego Rossi deserves a shout out for MVP. I said this the other night on the stream with my buddy Danny on Battered MLS. But Diego Rossi's got to get some shouts for MVP. He's got 5 goals. They're unbeaten. They're first place in the Eastern Conference. I mean, if you're the best player on the best team, shouldn't you be getting some recognition or a shout for MVP? Mr. Mister says the Welsh League doesn't have a lot of investment. I'd actually say Ireland is a bit better. Plus, the biggest sport in Wales is probably rugby union. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't think of Wales as like a soccer nation, right? Obviously, they've had some good players like Gareth Bell and stuff, and was it Aaron Ramsey? But not probably. It is rugby union without question. Yeah, we'll see if speaking of Wales, like soccer teams, we'll see if Wrexham can. They've been promoted like 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row. We'll see if they can get promoted to the Premier League next year. And just think about all the American fans that are interested in Wrexham, and imagine if those people had the same amount of interest in MLS. I mean, it's crazy. But they sold the story really well. It's what got people interested in keeping up with it and watching, seeing if how fast they could move up the table or the pyramid, I should say. And like I said earlier too about this game, it kind of worries me a little bit because like Inter Miami's got to play a big game on Wednesday. I mean, they got to play Vancouver. They have probably the 2 toughest game stretch this season of any MLS team, having to play the Crew on the road, and then I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first leg is is it in Vancouver? I think it is actually. So they're gonna have to go from Cleveland to Miami to back to Vancouver on Wednesday. So this is a tough stretch for Miami. This is going to really test and see how good they are. And keep in mind, Mascherano hasn't lost to an MLS team yet this year. He has not lost to an MLS team. Actually, he has. I'm sorry. He lost to the LAFC in the first leg, but he hasn't lost an MLS regular season match. He's still unbeaten in his MLS tenure. So, but he's going against the Maestro today, Wilfred Nancy. If Wilfred Nancy wins MLS Cup again this year, I just don't think he's going to stay. And I've talked to someone who knows Wilfred Nancy pretty well, and they said that he doesn't want to leave the Crew. He really likes being there, and they treat him well, and they give him what he needs. And he would be very, very, I don't want to, I guess, picky for lack of a better word, about who he would want to go to next. What team would he go to? So I think that someone said he would go to the French league, and I don't think he would go to the French league. I think he would go to the Premier League. That's pretty much maybe a really good Serie A or La Liga team as well, but I don't think he's leaving MLS for just some bottom table French league team. Like he wants a good job, or he's not going to leave. There's no reason for him to leave. He's paid very, very well. And I will say this too about Miami. I tweeted about this. If Suarez cannot start scoring some goals, they might need to look at maybe having him come off as a super sub because I mean, one goal is pretty bad this year. One goal this season in like 8 games. That's really, really underwhelming. He scored 20 last year in like 19 games. Or no, it was 20. Was it 21 and 24 games maybe? Either way, he's not anywhere close to scoring that many goals this year. How is the French league a top 5 league in Europe? It's garbage. Because PSG, one team can prevail a league to a certain status. I mean, that's just how it is. The PSG carries that entire league. If PSG was bad, it would be worse than the Portuguese league. It'd be worse than the Brazilian league. It'd probably be like the seventh best league. Nah, yeah, probably the seventh best league in the world. They are fifth if they're top 5. Yeah, I mean they are fifth. No questions asked. They're definitely fifth. 27 matches, 20 goals for Suarez. But I think he scored, if I'm not mistaken, I think he scored 24 or 20, 21 goals and 24 MLS appearances last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look it up real quick. Okay, yeah, you're right. 27 games played, 21 starts, 20 goals, 9 assists. And he's got 1 goal, 4 assists in 8 games. He's not having a good year. And they just traded for an international roster spot. Inter Miami did. So it begs the question what they might do with that spot. Are they still interested in Kevin De Bruyne? They have a DP spot open, which is, I mean, think about how good this team is and just imagine that they still have a DP spot available. Isn't that crazy? They could add another striker. They could add a midfielder. There's all kinds of possibilities of what they could add. But, if they added Kevin De Bruyne, that would be crazy. I don't want that to happen. I would rather him go to Chicago, obviously, because like I made a video about spreading the wealth and trying to not balance the teams out, but like give people reason to want to watch other teams. And I think that Inter Miami could use that spot better than Kevin De Bruyne, like more effectively. If Suarez didn't leave for Copa America, he could have won the Golden Boot. Of course he could have. Of course he could have. If Messi didn't leave for the Copa America, he could have won the Golden Boot last year. Mr. Mister says, imagine if Miami had a pace merchant up front. And that's the thing. It's like if Miami has a DP spot open, right? Why don't they just go drop like 20 million? I mean, 20 million is a lot of money, but I mean, Jorge Mas has never shied away from being spending money. So why don't they just, I don't understand why they don't just try to go get a young striker. I don't know why they don't just try to go get a young striker who can do a lot of the heavy lifting. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. Get KDB to Charlotte. I don't think they don't have a DP spot. I think they're going to keep Pep Biel, though he'll probably end up being a DP. He's been really good this year for Charlotte. So and they got Nazi or not Nazi, Zaha, excuse me, Zaha, and they have Abada. So I don't think they can sign him. But Miami have a DP spot open. Chicago have a DP spot open. So there's a lot of flexibility with them where they could sign a guy like that. KDB needs to go somewhere that isn't. Yeah, he needs to go to Chicago or something, or one of the West Coast teams, something like that. I think if this game goes kind of like, I don't want to say that they're going to lose, but if it starts like Miami looks like it kind of gets a little like no one's going to score, kind of like a stalemate. I could totally see them subbing Messi off at like maybe 60 minutes and Suarez at like 60, 70, 70th minute just to give them a little bit of a breather for Wednesday. And if you notice, Maxi Falcone isn't starting. I don't think he's hurt. Is he on the bench? But Maxi Falcone's not playing right now. They have Lujan next to Noah Allen, who's probably the most improved player in MLS this year. So far, been a top center back in MLS at 5'9", 20 years old. Been an absolute stud for Inter Miami. Mr. Krabs says other teams can also buy stars from Europe. It's not just reserved for Miami. Yeah, they can for sure. They definitely can. They should. They definitely should. And I've said this. I came up with a plan that the teams there needs to be 5-star. MLS needs to get 5 stars to MLS this year. They need to get 5 stars, star players like players with name recognition, right? They need to get 5 players with name recognition to come to MLS this summer, and they need to spread them out. And hopefully that can get some more interest in the league. You can't just have one team have all the star power. You got to start spreading it out. And I don't want to just sign. Oh, what a pass from Messi to Alba. And I don't want to just see them. Like, I don't want them just to sign players that have name recognition. They're just completely washed. They got to be good too, right? And I think that he might have been a little offside there. It was close with Alba, but they need to be contributors, so they need to be good. Like, you don't want another Olivier Giroud situation where you put him in the wrong system, he becomes washed too, and you're stuck with a guy who's making $6 million a year and he's not good anymore. You don't want that to happen. You do not want that to happen because then you're just screwed. And DP spots are so valuable. You cannot waste them on players who don't contribute. Now, as far as the crew, they trade for Daniel Gazdak, right? He's a DP now from Philadelphia. So he's a DP. Diego Rossi's a DP. Darlington Nagbe's a DP, but Darlington Nagbe is going to potentially he'll either be extended or he might even retire after this because he's 35 years old. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't play much longer. Either way, they will have the flexibility to sign a DP. And that's what's scary is like they're really good right now. Imagine what they're going to do when they got Gazdak and Rossi and they have a DP number 9. Like Columbus is scary. I mean, they weren't scary the way they were like 2 weeks ago, but who knows? Maybe they could give Miami some trouble down the stretch, honestly. Giroud really needs a Griezmann. And that's the problem is, Griezmann said, "The hell with this dude. I'm not going to LA. No way. No way. I'm not going there." And I think Giroud's house got robbed, like someone broke into his house. So just not a good situation. Giroud's probably telling him like, "Hey dude, listen, man, like don't come here. Like just avoid this place. Don't come here." I would not come here if I was you. I guarantee you that's what he said. Even if it's not Griezmann, someone like that. I'm trying to think of who they could get that would be kind of like a Griezmann comp. I mean, maybe a Dybala, but I think he's too injury prone, honestly. I don't think that would work out. They're really in a bad spot right now. If we're being honest, they're really in a bad spot. I think they might have to sell Bouanga because he hasn't done anything either. I think that might be time to move off of Bouanga, have 2 DP spots open because Under hasn't really done anything for LAFC. I'm not really sold on him. I wouldn't buy him. I would not exercise his purchase option at this time. So we'll just have to see what they do with that. But there's some teams that are going to have to make a lot of moves this summer. A lot of moves this summer. Nathan says, I don't think Nagbe will retire. He still has some life left in him. Will probably be bought down. Ooh. Yeah, it just depends on. I think he's making $2 million a year. I think he'll have to sign a new deal so he can be bought down. I think he currently makes too much as it is right now to be bought down. I'm not. Is it Vaishnav? Both teams did not even take a shot. Are you saying like no team has taken a shot so far? Yeah, it kind of seems like a nervy game at this point. Ooh, good slide by Yannick Bright. Foul called on who is that that's got the foul called on him? Oh, is Suarez hurt? Zawatsky. You know, another thing too about Daniel Gazdak, I'm surprised that Philly sold him because he's only 27 years old. He was MVP runner up like 3 years ago. Not really sure what their deal is or why they're getting rid of something like Jack McGlynn. They got rid of Gazdag. Not really sure what their game plan is. What they're I mean, especially if they're trying to compete, win this year. I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of striker depth. I would have rather traded one of my strikers or done something like that rather than get rid of all the. I mean, they got rid of two midfielders. I don't know what they're doing. You say he's injury prone, but I could see Dybala eventually going somewhere in MLS. Yeah, I mean, he is. For being honest, he definitely is injury prone. He's only 32 years old, I think. I don't know how much longer he's going to stay at Roma. Uh, I don't know where he would go, honestly, because I would assume he would want to go to a big market team. I don't know where he would go, but I mean, LAFC might. I mean, the only problem is if they do have. The problem is if they don't have enough people to, or if they don't. I just think that if he gets injured for LAFC, they're cooked. They don't have enough. They don't have enough talent to. I mean, obviously, right now it'd be like them right now without someone like him. So they'd be screwed. I can't believe that Philly blew their roster up. Definitely like two moves away from being a top tier. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I don't understand. I just don't understand why they traded Jack McGlynn and sold Gazdak. And they said they sold Gazdak high, but I mean, normally when you get rid of a player of that quality, you're supposed to have someone lined up to help out. By the way, I'm excited to see what Noah Allen can do against Russell Rowe because they're both having really, really great seasons in MLS. Like Russell Rowe's not best 11, but I'm telling you, I think Noah Allen might be best 11 right now. And I was talking to my buddy about this, my buddy Vince, and he was saying that he was just waiting for Noah Allen to, I don't want to say regress, but like take a step back because he's playing really well. In MLS, a player will play really well and then they'll kind of fall off for a little bit, like have a bad run of form. But Noah Allen has just been very consistent all year. And at center back, he's a fullback playing center back, and he's been really, really good. Smart plays, smart passes, good marking, good defending, like just really good player this year. That looks a little weird. That looks a little soft. Who'd they call the foul on? Morera or Ayande? And that's a player too. If you look at Inter Miami struggles recently, when Ayande got hurt or wasn't playing, that's when the team really started to struggle. They really started to struggle when he wasn't playing. So he they need him to get back into form. He scored like 3 goals in I think his first 3 games. No, Allen should be under USMNT consideration as a squad player. Yeah, I mean he's played so good, and he got called up to the Greek youth team recently. So it's gonna be tough to convince him because I think that he could play for them. Gonna send a link here. We're gonna get Daniel Solana in here. Hey, they have Busquets back though. Like that will be crucial, I think, to their next leg as well. He had to miss the second leg of the LAFC game because of the yellow card accumulation. I keep forgetting ours got ties to. Yep. He's got ties to Greece. Yep, he does. He does. So, well, that was a nice pass to Yande. Can you finish? Oh, what a pass to Messi. Oh, been very. It's been a. I don't want to say lackluster, but it hasn't been. The game hasn't been anything crazy so far. But it could turn on a dime. You know how it is with Miami and the Crew. It could just happen really quickly. Suarez already looks gassed. He's like he's putting his hands on his hips. He looks a little injured and hobbled. I mean, that's how he normally looks. But I'm telling you, I don't know if Suarez is going to make it this year. I really don't. This is going to be his last year. There's just no way they can keep him at this point. Uh, the ball has hit the ref 2 times. The ball has hit the ref 2 times that they've been in the way. 2 times. This ref doesn't have good placement of like just kind of staying out of the way. That was a good opportunity. It was a little bit of a the pass was okay by Yande, not perfect. Maybe if it was a better pass, Messi could have scored that, but I'm not big on Kromaski, honestly. I know he's playing today because of the rest, but I'm not a big fan of Benjamin Kromaski. I think he's really regressed. A lot of if it's funny, if you look at a lot of the guys who are really good during the League's Cup run in 2023, a lot of these guys haven't really, except for Noah Allen. Noah Allen played quite a bit during that tournament, but a lot of these guys have really stagnated and not done much since then. Like Kromaski hasn't really done much. Taylor hasn't done much. Calendar hasn't done much. David Ruiz, I haven't seen him in a minute. I don't even know if David Ruiz is. Oh, a little too high by Gazdag. I can see Miami getting a pacey striker in the summer. They got this striker from Barcelona SC in Ecuador, but I don't know. I don't know how much he's going to play. Honestly, I have no idea how much he's going to play. But they're gonna have to do something because Suarez just isn't. He's just. I mean, he looks so old now, and I was concerned about him last year, but then he balled out and he had 20 goals. But this year, man, he's just looking so old. I mean, he is 38 years old, but I mean, damn, he looks terrible. Nathan says calendar was fraudulent from the start. Yeah, he is. He's terrible. I'm not a big fan of him. The ref. Hey, did you see this again? The ref was in the way again. This ref has been hit with the ball almost 3 times. This ref is, oh my God, this ref is terrible. Absolutely crazy. He looks like his knees have finally given up. Yeah, I mean, his knees look bad last year, but he's just not he's just super slow. Super slow. Just a little high on that shot by Gazdak. But Ustari has been super good. Ustari has been really, really good for Miami. A he's been consistent. He has been just a vet back there, right? He's 15 years. Let me see. He's born in 80. Was he born in 86? I think he's born in 86. So he's like 11 years younger or older than Calendar. So he's just a vet. Like it's nice to have a vet back there that has a calm presence, organize the back line. Obviously, he can communicate with them better because he speaks Spanish. Calendar doesn't speak any Spanish. Some people think that's overrated, but I think you can't discredit how much better and how much more it helps to be able to communicate with your back line. And Mister, I'd have to ask this: at what point do they just bench Suarez? I mean, this will be 9 games without with one goal if he doesn't score today. I mean, that's you just can't do that, man. That's just you got to be able to score some goals. I mean, he doesn't have to score 20 again, right? But I mean, he's got to score at least. I mean, he should at least have like 4 or 5 goals at this point, more than one. Thank God he's. If he was a DP, they would be so cooked. They would be so cooked if he was a DP right now. Oh, beautiful play right there. Oh, what a beautiful. Oh, right over the crossbar. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was poetry. Look at the passing. One, two, three, four passes. And it's a little high. It's a little high by Arfston. That was beautiful though. This Miami just looks like they look very lethargic today. They look very just like out of it. Definitely should be a super sub and give him more rest. I agree. Mr. Crab says this is Gonzalo Higuain all over again with Luis Suarez. But the thing is like at least he's not a DP. But yeah, it is. It's looking like that. It's looking like that. It's looking like that. Thank God they. I mean, he signed a new deal. Hopefully, like I said, it's not more than 1 year because there's just no way. Who's the backup right now? I mean, you could have a Yande play up top and have Baltasar Rodriguez play on the left side or Telasco Segovia play on the left side. You could have that was a pretty good pass by Suarez. That was a nice pass. Oh, a goal! Is that Kramoski? Yeah, Kramoski scores. What a header! What beautiful pass by Wingate to Kramoski. Inter Miami score first. Inter Miami up 1-0. Inter Miami up 1-0 over the Columbus Crew. It's crazy. Kramoski scores for Inter Miami to put them up 1-0. Got Solana in here. Wait till I see him. Wow. Bring Solana in here. Solana, what's up? How's it going?
It's going great. It's 1-0.
Give me
And
one. I can fix it. I can't hear you right now. Give me 1 sec.
all right.
I think it's on my end. Hold on 1 second. I think it's my audio issues. Can you guys hear Solana?
Can you hear me now?
Let me see. See if I can hear something now. Yeah,
Can you
unplug
hear
this.
me now? I think the chat's saying that they can hear me. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can't hear you, but I don't know why I can't hear you, but something's going on with my audio issues. But I'm going to ask you because I know you can hear me. Obviously, I'll try to fix this. What do you think about this first half so far? Inter Miami obviously scored a goal. Kremoski, how you feeling after that first goal after what seemed like a pretty, I mean, I guess lackluster first 30 minutes?
Yeah, it was an absolute awful first 30 minutes for Inter Miami. Not the start that you would want if you're an Inter Miami fan, but it was clear that Columbus to me was going to come out and try to dictate the pace in this game by using their ball dominance and in creating chances whenever they could. But they were the closest ones in the first few minutes. The first 20 something minutes, and Inter Miami, when they were really in their worst moment of the first half, was able to break through and get that goal. So let's see how that changes now the game.
Yeah, I can't figure out this audio issue, man. I don't know why I can't hear. Let me see if I can do something else real quick. Give me 1 sec. I think I can fix this. Give me 1 sec. But hey, listen, I tell you what though, I'm gonna ask you this, man. Luis Suarez looks absolutely terrible through 9 games. He looks washed. He had scored 1 goal. I mean, if this team wants to win the Champions League or win MLS Cup, he's got to be able to score more. So I was talking with a chat with this a minute ago, saying that I think that if he can't start scoring goals, that he might have to make the switch as a super sub.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that he could end up being a super sub towards the end of the season, and we almost are going to get a second goal right here. Oh, almost. Look, I know a lot of people are saying Suarez is washed and he hasn't produced as much as he did last year, but it's still really early on in the season, and he still does have 4 assists, and he leads the team in assists. So while he hasn't been scoring on the clip that he was scoring last year, he has been contributing in certain ways, by making certain runs and taking certain defenders off of other players and allowing them the space to get in there and score the goals. You've seen now Benjamin Kremoski get a couple of goals this year. Tadeo Allende is obviously one of the team leaders with goals. So the guys that are playing off of Suarez are the ones getting the goals this year, not necessarily Suarez. So as long as he continues to do what he's doing, I think he's going to be okay. But I do agree that I think that Alan Obando should be getting some minutes. I'd really love to see the young kid, especially Atletico Madrid had the faith to put such a big investment on him. So I would really love to see exactly, what he can do in the MLS. I saw him play for Barcelona Sporting Club in Ecuador when he was playing over there. And, I thought he had all the tools to be a fantastic player, but he hasn't had the time yet to show it. So we'll see if Mascherano, gives him the vote of confidence and allows him to show what he can do here in the next upcoming games.
Yeah, and hopefully I can hear you now, which is good. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Sorry about the audio issue. Now, we were talking about this earlier. Someone in the chat, I think it was Mr. Mister, had said, does Inter Miami, you said Abando is obviously a young, talented Ecuadorian striker that they got on loan, but I think is actually going to be a Madrid player, right? Isn't that the plan, that he's on loan with Miami, then he will probably be a Atletico Madrid player?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes. So do you see Miami? They have this DP spot, right? They still have a DP spot. Technically, they could buy down Alba, if I'm not mistaken. And there's been talk about KDB possibly being the third designated player. But, to Mr. Mister's point, he says, imagine if they had a pace merchant, someone up top who could really just change this team. If they had a guy who not necessarily be a clinical finisher, but just had legs, man, just more than what Luis Suarez is giving them right now, how much that would change this team.
Yeah, I think Inter Miami has that already in the players that they've gotten in this transfer window. Obviously, you see the pace that Tadeo Allende brings to the attack. You see the pace that Fafa Pico brings to the attack. Obviously, these aren't nines, but they could be players that could play that false 9 position, and you can also have Messi play alongside of them. So while I know that Inter Miami has the possibility to buy down a player, go out and get a DP, I would prefer for them to get KDB because I think he would add just another option in the midfield to what so far has been a pretty interesting midfield up to date. So I would, if I were, the GM and I had the power to do this, I would go after KDB instead of a striker. I don't really see anybody out on the market who would make sense. That would be, make that splash for a DP. I'd much rather continue to go with the young talent, and I'm really excited about Baltasar Rodriguez. We haven't seen anything of him yet so far. He's injured this game, out with a hamstring injury. So, he's another player that is very similar to what we had in Matias Rojas last year. Very shifty player, lefty, can shoot from outside the box, very crafty. So, look, Inter Miami, I think, has the deepest roster in the MLS, maybe next to Columbus Crew. So, look, this is the battle of the unbeatens, and you and I are getting to live it live together.
Yeah, and I'll say this though, this is just an outsider perspective. Obviously, you're a Miami fan, so you're going to want your team to sign the best players they possibly can sign. But I have two concerns about KDB going to Inter Miami. The first one is I worry about them defensively if they have that much age in the midfield, because they don't have the defensive quality to really cover up if things go bad in the midfield. They just don't. Noah Allen's been playing really good, and listen, I have to give you credit. Noah Allen's been your boy since day one. And he's had the best season improvement wise of any player in the league this year. Like he is a best 11 center back at this point, in my opinion, in MLS. He has been the best center back on the team, even better than Maxi Falcon. He has been an absolute stud back there. And honestly, he's played so well that it kind of makes you wonder if they're going to loan out Toto Alvarez, because they really don't need him at this point. I mean, he's kind of a wasted U22 at this. I think he's a wasted U22 spot. I think you could maybe bring in someone more useful than that, but that's a different subject. We'll get into that later. But I think that defensively that would have issues with KDB being in this Inter Miami midfield. And also, I think it'd be best for the league to have the talent spread out. I think you would want to see him in another market like a Chicago to give people reason to want to watch those games. Like most people aren't watching Chicago right now. I don't, even if you're a Greg Berhalter fan, you're not watching Chicago. But if your KDB's on the team, you're going to tune into games and you're going to see what's going on.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you saw that right when Bastian Schweinsteiger came over to the MLS and signed with the Chicago Fire back in the day. You saw a little bit of the uptick in ticket sales of folks who wanted to go see, this football legend. Some folks might not call him a legend, but he won a World Cup. I think he's a fantastic player, and for what this league is about, I think he should be considered a legend to play in this league. And we saw that with Bastian. I agree with you. Obviously, being a selfish, fan of Inter Miami, like you said, I would want what's best for my team, and I would want the best players. I would love KDB. I do understand what you're saying in terms of, what Inter Miami lacked in the midfield. But remember, Inter Miami is running off of, if I'm not mistaken, a 2-game clean sheet streak. So, and a big part of that has been Oscar Ustari. A big part of that has been, like you said, Noah Allen, who I don't know if I agree with you that he's been the best defender, but I think he's been the most consistent defender that Inter Miami has had this year. I think I still lean over to Maxi Falcon as the best defender, just because I think he brings a sense of leadership to that defense that Noah Allen yet doesn't possess. He's still a young lad growing up and learning, but I do agree that he could start in any MLS starting 11. And then in terms of who they could sign, I agree. I think it would be interesting if there was a switch of rights of Neymar and KDB, because I know that Chicago Fire owned Neymar's discovery rights. But now that Neymar got injured again, I don't know if that really makes sense. I do agree that the right landing spot would be Chicago, though.
Well, I want to say about Noah Allen, sometimes an overlooked quality is consistency. Oh God, look at Yannick Bright right here cooking. Look at Yannick Bright, dude. Oh my God, that was a nice little run right there by Yannick Bright. But I just don't think they need Neymar. I know MSN is something a lot of fans want to see again. I mean, I'm a Barca fan, that. I would love to see what it would look like again. But let's be honest, Suarez is cooked. He's not the same guy he was even last year. So like that part of the puzzle is already kind of like watered down. Neymar is injured quite a bit, right? Still a good player, but very injured. I think at this point, they don't need more star power, Danny or Solana. They don't need more star power. They just need to sign the best player possible. And when you have a team like Miami, you could go spend 15, $20 million on a player and have a guy that wouldn't consider MLS come to MLS because of who he's playing for. So like, I think they need to use this DP spot to go sign the best possible player, not the biggest name that they possibly can land. They need to go to South America, Europe, whoever it may be, and just go try to land a quality player.
Yeah, I could. Oh wow, that move by
Messi. Oh, that's close. The dribbling skills are crazy. See, imagine if he had, instead of getting the Barca boys back together, like one last reunion, right? Imagine if they surrounded Messi with some players that are actually still good and have a lot. Like now, Segovia and Diego Gomez, when he was here, they were good, young, and talented, but they weren't like a finished product. They were guys on the up and up. Imagine if they were able to get a guy who was young and already polished and like really good when they came over to Inter Miami.
No, absolutely. And look, if you're asking me, what Inter Miami needs at this point, I think they need wingers. And if you're gonna go out there and get the best possible winger, obviously I know Mo Salah just re-signed with Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, so that's out of the question. And Griezmann just re-signed with Atletico de Madrid, so that's out of the question. But I would love to see Inter Miami go out and get a winger and surround Suarez with a little bit more talent on the outside, somebody who can, feed off of what he does, because he does a great job of holding up his body up against the defender and distributing the ball out to both the left and the right side. So what he needs is somebody who's going to run off of him. We see that with Tadeo Allende, but we don't see that on the other side with Telasco Segovia when he starts, and much less we see it with Benjamin Kremaski, who's not that type of player.
Well, and also too, like I'm not even talking about Griezmann or Dybala or anybody like that or Salah. I'm talking about just a guy who's maybe 25, who would have a price tag of 20 million, who's playing in Argentina or Brazil or the Eredivisie or the Belgian league, someone like that, and bring okay, for example, Dreyer. I'm sure you watched San Diego this year. San Diego signed Dreyer from the Belgian league. He's a right winger. He was second in the Belgian league in goals in 2023, 2024. So last season, he scored 17 goals. Imagine if they went and got a guy like that who just absolutely destroyed the Eredivisie or the Belgian league, brought him over to play next to Messi and Suarez.
I mean, I would love that. I'm actually just looking up some of the top free agents coming up in this 2025 summer, but I haven't been able to pull it up yet. But I want to see who the top free agent wingers are. And not necessarily name, but what players are available, even in South America. I would love to do a little bit of research and kind of see maybe even somebody like Gabriel Peck, who last year had a fantastic year as a winger. Somebody like that who could come from Brazil, from Argentina, from Uruguay, even. I would love to see somebody like that play next to a Messi and a Suarez and see what they could do. Oof.
Was a good chance by Russell Rowe. Yeah, another outside the box, if they were able to get rid of Toto Alvarez, because I'm just completely, I had him, I thought he was going to ascend and he was going to be a lot better this year, and he just hasn't. I mean, he's not even, he lost his job. Maxi Falcone and Noah Allen are the two starting center backs. And then obviously when Maxi Falcone's not playing, it's Lujan. They're not, like, he's not even the third option anymore. So I think it'd be better served to loan him out to a club in Argentina. And here's my outside the box thinking on this signing. I think they should use the third U22 spot to sign a goalkeeper who they could pass it down from Ustari to them when Ustari, whether that's this year or next year. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was a nice strike by Messi. That was close. But they could pass it down. I'm sorry if I'm a little ahead of you. I'll try to keep it down.
No, that's fine. I don't mind.
That was close by Messi. But I'm just saying, get a strike or a goalkeeper in here who can learn an understudy, and maybe they could pass the mantle down from Ustari to them maybe next year. Because Ustari's not, I mean, who knows how much longer he's going to play.
No, I agree. And I think that's what they're trying to do with, Rocco Novo Rios, is they see in him the qualities to be that type of player. And, I think right now, Drake Calendar's days really in Inter Miami could be numbered. I think that's what everybody, that's what everybody is obviously rumbling about is it's not if, it's more so when. We've seen him be the backup keeper, and really it'd be interesting to see who Inter Miami would get or what they would get in a haul for Drake Callender, if it would be a trade within the league. I don't know what it is that they're waiting for, or what price tag it is that they have on him, but it's clear that he's no longer the number one. It's Oscar Ustari, and to me, the number two should be Rocco Novo Rios. I think he could be somebody who is a very good goalkeeper in this league. I think he's a little bit short, but other than that, I mean, he's got great reflexes. He can come out playing with the ball. He's confident in his play, and he just needs the time to mature. Hey, Will, I don't think anybody can hear you, because the chat, Mr. Krabs, is saying that they can't hear you. No, I can't hear you either. But it's halftime here in Cleveland, Ohio, 1-0. And let's see if we can get your audio to get working again.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no worries. Nice to see a friendly face in the chat, in Mr. Krabs. Definitely watches a lot of the streams that I'm on. So nice to see a friendly face. Hello to everybody else in the chat. They say that they can hear you now, Will.
Can you guys hear me?
I can't, but maybe they can. Let's see, I'll hop off and hop back on. Maybe it's on my side this time. So I'll hop off and I'll hop back on.
Okay, good. Glad you guys can hear me now. I don't know what was up with that. Maybe it was something. I don't know. Everything was good on my end. It was just I couldn't hear him earlier. But look, it's 1-0 at the half. Inter Miami's up on the Columbus Crew. Like I said, I guess lackluster game, you would call it. Columbus Crew had a couple chances. They weren't able to convert. They've done a really good job of eliminating Russell Rowe at this point in the first half. Inter Miami doesn't even, this isn't even, if you watch Inter Miami, this isn't even really like the full force of the team that we've seen before. This is kind of, they obviously Kramaski scored, but this isn't like the most lethal version we've seen of them. So a little surprising that Columbus Crew weren't able to prevent them from scoring in that first half, especially because Suarez really hasn't done anything in the first half either. He says, I could hear everyone. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was just Solana. Maybe a cord was unplugged. I was thinking it shows that my audio was working, so I'm not exactly sure. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Now I can.
Was it just like a cord unplugged or something?
I have no idea what it was, but I just logged off and logged back in, and everything works, so we're good to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody's like, I could hear everyone the whole time. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, this was, hey, look, I was just saying before why you stepped out for a little bit that Inter Miami, this isn't even the best version we've seen in Inter Miami. This is still like a sleepwalking Miami. They kind of, I wouldn't say lucked into a goal, but this is not what we've seen them do in other games. Like that LAFC the second half we saw in that LAFC, or the second leg of the LAFC match. That's when you see the team of what they can do when they really want to turn it on. That we haven't really seen that in this game, but they're still up 1-0. But that's how good teams are. Even when you're not playing good, you find a way to win.
Absolutely. And that's how champions are made. Essentially, it's you don't have to play good, but you have to dig out points and get points in the games that really matter and the games that are tough. And this is one of those games that's tough because you're facing a team who basically has the same similar strategy that you do in ball possession and getting up ahead with the ball, using your possession to create holes within the defense. Inter Miami does a similar thing. So what they've chosen to do in this game is to basically cede possession of the ball to their opponent and just sit back and play off of the counter. So far, it's worked, but really, Columbus has had most of the closest chances so far.
Yeah, and that's what makes Inter Miami scary. I'm telling you, if they turn it on, I mean, it's they can they're the best team in North America, in my opinion, which is what's scary about them. But I think Miami has proven that playing on the road, and so they're losing on possession right now, and they actually have less. Projected goals, they're actually almost down half of a point to Columbus Crew, but I don't know. If they win this game after not playing a good game, I feel like you'd have to crown them as the best team in the league. And especially when we watch them, which hopefully you'll be able to swing by for the CONCACAF Champions Cup game on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll see you by that. Unless are you going to that game? Is the first leg in Miami or is it in Vancouver?
The first leg is in Vancouver, and it'll be on Thursday, Will, because there's a
Thursday.
concert. There's a concert on Tuesday or Wednesday at the Vancouver Stadium, and they won't have enough time to turn around the stadium and get it ready for the game. So it'll be on Thursday.
Okay. Well, hopefully. Oh, man, they're having it the same night as the draft?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But it'll be a late start. I think it's a 10:30 kickoff. So it'll be a very late Inter Miami, Vancouver night.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm planning on watching the NFL draft at a friend's house, but I'll try to make it back. Hopefully, you could join us for that if you'd like. You can join us for that game, see who wins. So I was saying earlier in the stream that Miami has a really tough first two game stretch. I mean, they're playing the two other best teams in the league. They got to play Columbus on the road, and they got to go apparently to Vancouver and play them on the road, which is the furthest possible team in MLS from them. It's like what 3,300 miles from Miami, I think, from Vancouver.
Yeah, it's actually funny how this actually turned out, because you have essentially, if they win today, the best team in the East facing off against the best team in the West in the semifinals, in essentially an all MLS semifinal, essentially to get through to the final, which is fantastic because could be a preview of what the MLS Cup is going to be, and we're going to get a preview of that in late April, which is fantastic, which is extremely early on in the league. So I mean, no doubt it's extremely tough. And I think that's playing into how Inter Miami is playing today. Obviously, I don't think that they're putting their, I'm not saying that they're not putting 100% effort, but I'm just saying they also are have to be looking ahead in terms of, not gassing themselves out and making sure that they are able to, keep enough of their fitness available for Thursday, because it is a quick turnaround and it is a long trip. And these guys have done it more than us, but those long trips when you're 38 years old, I mean, I know, I turned 40 this year, and those long trips after you get up, it's rough to get up. So
yeah, I just hate these late starts, man. I really do. But I guess in that sense, on Thursday, I'm glad they are doing a late start, so I'll be able to watch it because I am going to watch the draft. If you guys haven't seen me wear a Titans hat, I am a Titans fan. They got the first pick in the draft, so my night will be over early. So I'll be able to watch that game in full, and hopefully you guys will join us because it's a big, crucial game to see who's going to advance, to the final of them, or the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I mean, that first leg is crucial. If Miami can get a goal or two on the road, it's going to be tough for Vancouver to really, it's going to be a tough hill to climb for them.
No, no doubt. Although, look, you saw what happened, with Miami and LAFC. LAFC got a goal at home, and then they were able to get a goal away early, and everybody thought, oh no, where is this game going? But Inter Miami has the pedigree and they have the players to be able to turn these games around. So I think it's going to be extremely important for Vancouver to get on the board at home, and to get a couple of goals if possible, because Inter Miami at home is a very, very tough team. They're very, very solid in the back when they play at home. And, these games are like, the Champions League games out in Europe. I mean, anything is possible on a Champions League night, and I think the same thing goes on a Champions Cup night.
Guys, we have 29 of you in the chat right now. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the thumbs up down below. It helps us out with the algorithm. Let's try to grow the audience as much as we can. We still have a whole entire half of a huge matchup between the Columbus Crew and Inter Miami to see who is the best team in the Eastern Conference. And it's going to be settled tonight. If things stand, there will be a winner, not a draw, hopefully, right? Either way, hopefully there's just not a draw. Even if Columbus comes back 2-1, I know that's not what Solana would want to happen, but either way, I think that there will be a winner tonight, and the undefeated run will end for one of these teams. So make sure you like the stream down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the little bell notification so you never miss any of my videos or these live streams, and even emergency live streams like we did last night talking about Steve Cherundolo. So as I was a little worried about Miami, I'm not going to lie to you, Solana, because they were playing a little, like they weren't losing, obviously, but they started to play a little rough in their MLS schedule down. Like they weren't playing as well as they were early on. But it looks like they've kind of rediscovered themselves. I think Ayande coming back was huge because he was one of their best players earlier in the season. But how are you feeling right now about their chances? And I'm going to get me a refill while you tell me. I'm going to keep my headset on so I can hear what you say. But how do you feel about their chances in this 2-leg matchup between the Vancouver Whitecaps? Like, are you nervous? Like, do you think they're going to lose?
No, I'm not nervous at all. I mean, they've only lost one game in 2025, and that was to LAFC in what was an absolute dreadful game for Inter Miami. They had quite a bit of chances in that game. They were unfortunately the referee didn't give a red card that he should have. That player came out and made a goal. That game was just Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it did go wrong in that game for Inter Miami. The only thing that went, right was the fact that everybody left that game healthy and everybody was ready to go and play that next leg at home in Miami. But if you're asking me if I'm worried or if I'm scared, no. As an Inter Miami fan, as a person who covers the team on a regular basis, like I said earlier in the stream, I think they're deep enough. I think they have the players to go ahead and win this cup. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best team in North America. It just means that they're the best team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, because there's a lot of really good teams that were also part of the tournament that didn't make it this far. And also teams that didn't participate. So I would have loved to see an Inter Miami America final. I'd still am going to love to see an Inter Miami, if they qualify versus any of these, either Mexican team. But most of all, I really would love to see Inter Miami win both legs so that they can host the CONCACAF Champions Cup final game at Chase Stadium, and give the fans what they deserve. It's a really, really good fan base. They show out to every game. La Familia is there, all 5 or 6 of the different sects of fan bases, or barra bravas as we call them in Spanish. So I would really love for them to win both legs, or at least tie and win a leg, so that they could host that final in May.
No, that would be nice. And there's been the rumor that when the finals decided, they might move it to a different location. It might not be at Chase Stadium, and might not be, whoever they're playing. It might be in a neutral location or Hard Rock Stadium or something like that. That's still up in the air where that game will be played. They said they will know at a later date based on who is in the final. I would honestly be very surprised if it's at Chase Stadium, even if they do win. I think it would probably be moved to Hard Rock, honestly.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually on a local radio show, 560 WKAM, earlier today doing an interview, and we actually got into this. And it's funny that you bring it up now. I also think that it would be fantastic for Inter Miami to play it at Hard Rock Stadium. I think it would be kind of like a tune-up, getting ready for the Club World Cup that's going to be played at Hard Rock Stadium. I think it's a fantastic facility to play a soccer game. And really, I would love for it to be played there. But the fan in me also thinks about about the team, and they've played now 4.5 years, 5 years at Chase Stadium. And what better place to put a bow on a wonderful, let's say, first 5 years than to win and lift the CONCACAF Champions Cup in your home stadium before you open your new stadium early next year.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Obviously, I don't have a preference on who I want to win next round. I just want an MLS team to win because it's good for the league. So either way, Vancouver or Miami, I feel like Miami has the best chance to win it, but I think Vancouver could after what I've seen. They're a very formidable, good competitive team, and they're not a fluke. I've seen too big of a sample size to think that they're not a real contender in MLS. But I think it'd be good for the league if Miami did win it, just because of what you'd be able to say. Like Miami, Messi won the Champions League, Champions Cup, the biggest trophy in North America, which it is the biggest trophy in North America. Don't get it twisted. Anybody saying otherwise is delusional or a sad Liga MX fan after they lose it. Either way, it is the biggest trophy by far in MLS. No debate about it. It is the ultimate trophy. Solana, I would rather have a CONCACAF Champions Cup than two MLS Cups.
Oh,
That's
me
just
too.
me.
Absolutely. And I'm with you 100%. It's an international trophy. It's the equivalent of a UEFA Champions League for the teams that play in CONCACAF. So to me, if you ask a Real Madrid fan, if you ask a Barcelona fan, if you ask, I'm not going to bring in the EPL teams because they're very, very particular, about winning the EPL. I know a few fans of Liverpool and of Arsenal and Chelsea, and they're very particular about wanting to win the Premier League title over the Champions League and all that. But I will say this, it is by far, I agree with you 100%, the premier trophy and the premier tournament out here in North America. And there's no other, tournament that could equal it. So, man,
Not
second
even
half's
Leagues
about to
Cup. Even
start.
the second half about to be underway, and not even Leagues Cup is like a distant. I mean, I personally think Leagues Cup would be like third or fourth most important trophy in North America. Like I think that winning Champions League is better. Obviously, MLS Cup I think is bigger than Leagues Cup, and then I would say that it's debatable if Supporter Shield. I think Supporter Shield probably would be a bigger deal than Leagues Cup. This is obviously the whole season.
I don't think so. And you know why? I just think it's because of the prize winnings. I think, you make so much money if you win the League's Cup. And you don't really make anything if you win the supporters shield, unless I guess you have it, in your contract, some sort of stipulation where, you get X percentage if you win the supporters shield. And that's why personally, I think I put League's Cup. I put League's Cup right after MLS Cup. I think one would be the Champions Cup, two would be MLS Cup for an MLS team, obviously, and three would be the League's Cup. Just because, again, it's an international trophy also, and you can make a lot of money. Oof, what a shot.
Good save by Ustari there. Was that Russell? No, it wasn't Russell. I think it was Diego Rossi that shot that.
It was Diego Rossi, yeah.
Your boy, right? Uruguayan. I actually like Diego Rossi quite a bit. I think he's not getting enough recognition as a potential. I think I think that he's been overlooked for the MVP discussion. I was talking with your buddy Granada the other day and saying that I think he's the leader, and he couldn't disagree more. He didn't think he was. I mean, he kind of walked it back a little bit, saying like, because he did sound like a little bit like, oh, there's no way, like he's not, but like he had that energy of like, oh, he shouldn't even be in the discussion. But then he's like, no, he should be in the discussion, but he's not my leader for the MVP. But how could you have the guy who's carrying a team after selling your best player, Cucho Hernandez? You sold your best player. Your team is missing some key pieces, and he got better, and he's carrying this team with a bigger load. Man, there's more expectations on him, right? And so I think you have to have him in the discussion, especially because right now they're first in the East. Maybe not after this game, but you get what I'm saying. Like he's been really good this year, Diego Rossi.
No doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. And you hit the nail on the head in your analysis and what you said. So, I mean, obviously they brought in a little bit of help now that they got Daniel Gazdag over here, but he was doing it before. And I think other than Brian White, who's out on an absolute tear over there in Vancouver, there's really nobody else that you can maybe argue enough of a chance for the MLS MVP than Diego Rossi right now. I mean, maybe what you put Messi up there just because he's Messi and he's had a pretty good season up to now. But
Pep Biel is also a good shout because he's been really good for Charlotte. He's got like 5 goals and 3 assists. He has been really good for Charlotte, so he definitely deserves some recognition as well. which I think that was Granada's. That was Danny's number one MVP candidate was Pep Biel with Charlotte. But I mean, Diego Rossi's got to be right up there. I mean, even though Charlotte is good, and I like Charlotte, Columbus is number one in the East right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely number one in the East, and they're the team to beat right now. Inter Miami is, doing just enough to get by them so far, almost with a goal there and an own goal off of the corner. But look, there's no doubt, and the leader on that team. Maybe the quiet leader is Darlington Nagbe, but I think the leader in terms of on-field leadership and who's putting the team on their back, just like how you said it, is Diego Rossi. So there's absolutely no doubt that Diego Rossi should be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been really, really good, and I think he's kind of a forgotten man almost. Like with what he's done for this team, and obviously Cucho Hernandez got all the headlines for Columbus when he was there. But man, Diego Rossi's good. Imagine if Diego Rossi was on Miami. Imagine if that's a guy. We were talking about a 25, 26-year-old. I mean, he can play a couple different positions. He play on the wing. He plays a false nine. I mean, he can play several different positions. He's pacey. I mean, they obviously are going to go for a bigger profile player, but you get what I'm saying about a guy at that age who still has a lot to give and is, probably in his prime right now.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that he's a low profile player, at least not for the MLS. Remember, he's a former
internationally
Golden Boot winner. Yeah, definitely. But this is the player who played in the Turkish league, who played, for a couple seasons over there, a player who led the MLS in goals. If I'm not mistaken,
2020. Yeah.
And he's won, a couple championships now, or at least definitely one.
He won one with Columbus, and then they won leagues. They won Leagues Cup and they won MLS Cup together. So they've won 2 championships, and then they made it to the CONCACAF. We did it together. They made it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final last year and lost to Pachuca.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a guy who, to me, it would be a fantastic signing for Inter Miami if they were able to do it. But I don't think there's any way Columbus is willing to
no
let go. But somebody who's like him, who has similar qualities, fantastic. I think that would be, a definite fantastic signing for Inter Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could change. Just think about having a guy like him, how much it could change the team, just because the young legs, the polished player. The thing about Diego Rossi I really like is, though, he's 25 years old, which is not young by any standard. Like, young in soccer is like 18, 19, hell, maybe even 17, but he's still young, right? He's 25 years old. He's younger than you and I are, right? Not to age ourselves, but he plays very mature. Like, he's a very smart player, Diego Rossi.
Absolutely. I mean, and remember, at this time, or in this age, players that are in their mid 20s to early 30s are really in their prime. Look at Messi, Suarez, Busquets. They're playing into their late 30s, and they're doing a fantastic job doing it. So no, he's definitely right in his prime, and he that should have been a penalty. I saw a little tug on the jersey by Busquets, but hopefully the referee didn't see it. I think he's gonna do great things. With Columbus, I think he's a fantastic player, and hopefully he gets one more shot in Europe if he's able to shine with Columbus.
Yeah, no, I think that obviously he's cementing himself as a Columbus legend. I don't think he's leaving. I think he's going to be a Columbus player until he doesn't want to be anymore. I think he's not going back to Europe. He's going to be in MLS for the rest of his career. He'll probably go to Uruguay at some point, return home, but I think he'll be a crew player for at least the rest of his prime. Now, he finally broke into the Uruguayan national team, right? Didn't he finally? Because there was always they talked about how he was better than Brian Rodriguez, but Brian Rodriguez had broke into the team first. He's got a couple caps with the national team, does he not? Diego Rossi?
He does, but not in this cycle. Not with Marcelo Bielsa. It was with the prior coach in the prior cycle. That he got a couple of caps, but he hasn't been in Marcelo Bielsa's plans while Brian Rodriguez has been. It's Bielsa has come out to say that the MLS in his eyes is not a great league. It's a league where players are lazy. I can understand his analysis on why he can say that. There's only usually one game a week, and if you lose, people usually don't get that upset here. You don't play with that same pressure that you play with in other countries in the world. And so I can understand where he's coming with that. But I think that's unfair to the players that do play in the MLS, because there are some players that do represent their countries and they do so very well. So I think while I understand his analysis, I think it's very unfair. And I think Diego Rossi should be considered for the national team.
I think Diego Rossi is better than Brian Rodriguez.
I agree 100%.
I've always thought that. I thought Brian Rodriguez was a pacey, overrated player. He gets very panicky with his feet. I mean, he's very fast. He just can't finish.
Yeah. No, he can't finish, and sometimes he dribbles the ball way too much.
He does. Like, so that's why, kind of mean when he gets panicky, he kind of just doesn't know really what to do with it when he gets in the final third. And honestly, if he was good, Diego Rossi got to move to Europe. Brian Rodriguez was on loan with a Segunda Division team before he got sold to Club America. So he's never even tested himself really in Europe, but he's going to be a Liga MX career player most likely at this point. But Diego Rossi has at least played, was it Fenerbahce? I think he played in the Turkish league, if I'm not mistaken. So he's at least tested himself, and he's became one of the better players in MLS. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's still young. Like I say, he's 25 or 26. Maybe he'll get a chance to get a call up. I don't know how much longer Bielsa will be the manager past this cycle. I would assume Bielsa will probably leave after 2026.
I think so. There's a lot of people that are just not happy with him. There's a lot of rumblings within the team that there's a lot of dissent towards him from the players and vice versa. He's not really a player's coach. So there's a lot of rumblings that he's going to be out after 2026. But you never know, because one day, especially in the international window, one day you can have a bad day and everybody wants to fire you. Then the next time, the next window, you beat Argentina and Brazil and you're the best coach in the world. And, he had that, where he beat Argentina and Brazil in back-to-back windows. And it was, I think, the first time that Uruguay had done it in I don't know how many years, and everybody loved him. And now they're not playing so great, and now everybody hates him. So I just think people need to be patient with national team coaches and just understand that it's not an easy job. These players don't get to train as often with each other as they do with their club team, and that's why you don't get to see some of the same players play as great with their national teams as they do with their club teams.
Yeah, no, I think that, there's obviously going to be some ups and downs, and you just kind of have to ride the wave. But we've seen that there's been a lot more downs with the USMNT. Now, this was an interesting question by Ernest. He says, how would you rate Rossi versus Kike Oliveira? That's a tough one for me, honestly, because I think Kike was very, very good.
So in terms of their MLS careers, I rate Rossi, probably one of the better Uruguayans to come across MLS. I think Kike Oliveira is a very, very good player. I think he wasn't playing in the right system under, Cherundolo. I think he was used to playing. Oh, I don't know if they're going to go back and look at that, but it looked like it could have been a penalty. I don't know. His time here in the MLS was not great, but he's doing okay over in Brazil. But he's done very poorly for the Uruguayan national team. So if you had to, if you put a gun to my head and say, hey, you're making the lineup for the 2026 World Cup, which one of these guys are you taking? I think Rossi offers me much more, soccer than Kike Oliveira does at this point from what I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't really followed him since he went to Liga MX to see what he's been doing. But obviously he was really trying to get his way out of LAFC. So, we'll see how that goes. This is an exciting summer, man. I can't believe it's already been a year since we did that final with Pachuca and Columbus Crew. And is that the penalty you were talking about with Busquets, or was that earlier?
That was the penalty that I was talking about the play earlier where I saw Busquets, I think, just shove somebody out of the way in the penalty box. But then I saw this
replay right here. Show him again. Yeah. So he's got to be careful, man. Busquets, he already had a yellow card accumulation, had to miss that second leg of the LAFC match. So he needs to, be careful, not get a card, man. They can't. I mean, they got lucky enough to beat them without. I mean, I think he's still an important player. They can't afford. I don't think they can afford to have lose him for an important match like that, important first leg. Even though Redondo's still, Redondo's been disappointing too. Remember how excited we were when he was coming to MLS because the profile? I think he's been disappointing, honestly. When you think about his salary, $8 million, not salary, but his fee, $8 million. I think that Inter Miami has only hit on one U22, and it was Diego Gomez. That was consistent for an entire season. It was Diego Gomez. Even Talasco Segovia has started to be inconsistent.
What did the referee just call?
It went off of Kermosky's head. How would that be that wouldn't be a penalty, or that wouldn't be a handball? It went off his head.
No, it hit her. It hit her. So she's gonna do
It hit her again.
It hit her. So it's gonna be.
Oh my God!
It'll be Inter Miami's ball. Yeah, it'll be Inter Miami's ball. And Nancy, I don't know what he's complaining about because, I guess maybe he's complaining that it hit her for
Dude, the ball
time.
hit her again. That is, oh my God! I literally just said much better second half. The ball hit. I've never seen the ball hit a ref this many times.
That just shows. Look, and I think she's done a great job so far. I think she's done a fantastic job, but that just shows that maybe either A, they don't teach referees positioning here, in pro referees, or she's just out of position a lot of times. She's
out of position. I've never seen a ball hit a ref 4 times in one game.
Oof. They need to really finish Diego Rossi. And now we're just sticking our feet in our mouth, Will, because he had a golden opportunity to tie the game right there, and it just didn't happen.
Too high over the crossbar.
Inter Miami needs a substitution. They need to change something up. They need, funny enough that you brought it up earlier, I think they need to bring in Redondo.
Is it Abando? Is that his name? The Ecuadorian striker Abando. Yeah, when is he supposed to be able to play?
He's on the bench.
Well, I'd bring him in for Suarez. Get some fresh legs up top.
Yeah, but I think they need a little bit more help in the midfield. It's been a little bit rough right now in the midfield. You might
bring both on.
You might even see Fafa Pico come on for Tadeo Allende.
Wow. Oh, man. He should have shot that. I'm talking. Rossi should have shot that. He held on to it way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. He should have shot that first touch. Unless you're Messi, when is dancing around 4 defenders ever work in your favor?
No, never. Absolutely. But, I mean, commendable job by the Inter Miami defense. Really one of their most improved aspects so far this year. It's been night and day last year compared to this year.
Hey, Uwe's got another one for you. Ready for this? Uruguayan trivia. Who you got? Prime Ladero or Prime Rossi?
Oh, bro, Prime Lodero. No, then there's no. It's not even it's a landslide. I mean, Prime Lodero. When he was playing on Nacional, when he played for Boca Juniors, he was unbelievable. And in his years that he played, in Seattle, he was just great. I think, once he came to Orlando, I think he should have stayed in Seattle. I think, his legacy kind of took a little bit of a hit when he came over to Orlando because he didn't play that great. But let's see if he can pick it up now with Houston.
It's not looking good for Houston now. I think he's cooked. But dude, he's 36. Like he's at the downward, he's settling. His career's coming to an end, right? He's 36 years old. I mean, he's not Messi or Suarez. He's not going to be playing at a high level at that age. I mean, he was getting injured quite a bit at the end of his Seattle tenure as well. So I think that he'll probably hang it up after this year, unless he plays for is it Nacional? Was that who he played for when he was in Uruguay? Maybe he'll play there for a season.
I don't think so. I don't think they really want him back.
Well, that's telling, isn't it? I mean, they don't even want to. That's his youth club. They don't even want him back.
Yeah, so. I think he had an opportunity to go back before he went back to Orlando. And it really rubbed the fans wrong when he kind of chose Orlando. And I understand why. Obviously, the money was probably there compared to what he was going to get paid in Uruguay.
Yeah. I mean, Suarez was essentially, he wasn't, but compared to what he makes now or what he made with Gremio, right? He was essentially playing for free with Nacional, right? When he was at that like half season when he played like 11 games for him before he went to Brazil.
Yeah, he played for free. He was just basically he used it as a basically like a stepping stone to get ready, or a training ground to get ready for the World Cup, for that Winter World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the reason why he did that. Uwe says, where does Uruguay's 2010 squad rank all time? Man, he's just throwing it at you. Are you Uwe? Are you a Uruguay fan?
Yeah, we got to find out. Honestly, I wouldn't rank them as a top 10 team. I think they were a great team, in terms of all time teams, but not top 10, not even top 20. I think there's some fantastic teams from the early days, that the teams where you had Pelé and some of the other guys that played with Pelé, like Garrincha and a couple other guys, I forget their names, but
What about
and
what
then
Mr.
you
Mister
had
says here?
I mean, Alvaro Recoba is fantastic. He's
Yeah.
an absolute legend. And look, if I just put my camera around just a little bit, I actually have an Alvaro Recoba signed jersey.
There you go, Mr. Mister. You called it. You see
right
his
there.
allegiance.
There you go.
Who's the best Uruguayan player of all time?
I think Luis Suarez.
I say by sorry. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think the closest to him would be Cavani. I know you're not. I don't think you're a big fan of Cavani, if I remember correctly. I think you hate Cavani, right?
I don't hate him. I just he was just a very frustrating player on the national team. So I would always be calling him some foul names during the broadcast. But I think he's a great player. But I think I would put Forlan above him. And I would put some of the older players from back in the day, like an Enzo Francescoli, above him. You had an Alcides Gikia, who was the player who scored the goal in 1950. And you have some really, really great players. Paolo Montero, who played for Juventus, was an excellent captain and great on the defensive line in the 90s for Uruguay. So great players to come out of Uruguay. Such a small country with such great players.
What about Diego? Juve wants to know.
I think he's definitely top five. Top five. He had a run there, a stretch where, and he said it, Forlan was crazy back then. Kids don't know. I mean, Forlan and Jabulani is just like, it's like making love. And honestly, it's amazing. And by the way, I forgot to say, congratulations, live on here. I'm very happy for you and for your wife. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, welcome to the club, and welcome to the club. I'll be here for any advice.
I'm gonna have to get them some MLS gear, like no team, or like maybe I could buy them some MLS gear, like a team, maybe some top players jerseys or something like that. I don't know if I want to do that to them. I mean, I'll be curious to see if they do pick an MLS team, or some people were joking, so I'm going to raise a Euro snob. I mean, who knows? I could have a kid that hates MLS. That would be tragic, right? They could be a Liga MX fan. I have to disown them. But who knows? They could look a lot different by then. So
never Liga MX. Come on, Will.
No.
Just don't put Univision, don't put Telemundo on in your house, and they won't be able to watch any of the Liga MX. Yeah, none of that. Only FS1, and you could get or Apple TV so that so they can watch just the MLS games.
Let me get your opinion on this, because I did a debate the other night. I don't know if you tuned in to watch it with Danny and Tommy from Scarves and Spikes. And I think I know what you're going to say this, because we've talked about this. But like, what is your whole take on them kicking the can on changing the schedule in 2026, the calendar?
I mean, as much as I do. I can't stand that. I was really, really hoping that they would change the calendar. I think they didn't do it because of all the infrastructure and all the work that's going behind the World Cup and getting it ready. I don't think U.S. soccer was really ready to, and MLS was really ready to take that next step and become a big league. And I think they're gonna, I'm obviously upset because you and I have, like you said, talked about it offline, and we both understand the importance of being on the same schedule, so you can have similar transfer windows, so you can have certain international windows off and things like that. Obviously, we understand some of the side effects, the weather, and where some of the teams are located and all that. But so in Europe, they get through the conditions and they make it through it. So why not us? So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait a couple of years. But I was disappointed when I saw that and when I saw your video about it.
Yeah, I was, I'm not really sure why Danny is so for the summer schedule, just because, I personally, this is just my experience, right? Now I don't live in I don't go to many games, but I keep up with every team. I see the enthusiasm, I see what's going on. And honestly, Solana, I think that the momentum dies in the summer because everybody else is caring about the Copa America or the World Cup or whatever big tournament it is. That's what nobody was. Look, I love MLS, but I can be honest, right? Was anybody watching MLS and just completely zoned in on what was going on when Copa America was going on in 2024 or the Euros of 2024? Everybody was watching that. And what about your best player? Your two best players last year having to miss 8 games because of the tournament, 1/4 of the season.
Yeah,
does that happen in any other league?
No, because they stop or because they're not playing. It's just common sense. It's common sense, and until MLS and Don Garber understand that and they adapt to that, then unfortunately it's going to be really rough for the MLS. It's just not going to be great. Oh man, looks like they pulled off Suarez, huh?
Suarez on to Las Segovia. You see, okay, first of all, it says there's 60,000 people here. There's no way there's 60,000 people. I can see the nosebleeds are completely empty. See, that's why when they talk about attendance dropping for MLS, if they go to the winter schedule, the MLS numbers for attendance is already a lie. Like there's not 60,000 fans in the stadium. There's no way. There's probably like 40,000, 45,000. I mean, there's still a lot, but there's not 60,000.
No, but that's probably the amount of tickets that they sold and those people didn't end up going or the amount of tickets that they gave away and the people didn't end up going. So I'm with you. Look, I don't think that the attendance is going to be affected if they go to a spring, winter, fall schedule. I think the only thing that could affect it a little bit is going to be in the fall. You're going to be going up against NFL, college football, NBA, and hockey. It's really a busy time in the year. So, it's going to be tough to compete with all those major sports. But I think that if they can find a niche within those sports where they have maybe like a Wednesday night game, kind of like how basketball does it on Thursdays, or where they, right now they're doing it good on Sundays. They have the Sunday night game. I think the Sunday night game is fantastic. But I think they need to open it up a little bit, play in between the week, have a Wednesday night game, have a Thursday night feature game. So,
they do that in other leagues too. Wednesday night games. They do that. I'm talking about in soccer leagues, not in America. Like they do Wednesday night games, the Premier League and other leagues when they have to catch up on the schedule. I mean, it's common, right? There's two. So that's, I agree. And one thing that I just don't understand. This is what I argue with Chris and Granada. They say that NFL would squash them like a bug, which is, of course, that's why you don't want the playoffs to be played during the NFL season. But this is what I said when they say nobody will go to games, right? This is my rebuttal to that. They say nobody will go to games. And I'm saying, oh, so you're saying MLS is irrelevant. They're like, no, we're saying it's not as big as the NFL. And I'm saying, okay, so you're saying that the MLS is so minuscule, it is so unimportant to fans that they will not go to the games of a team they supposedly support, that no one's going to go to the games. So you're saying that the fandom isn't just good. Like nobody cares about their team enough to go to a game. Like the true fans of a team will go to the games. Like you're down there in Miami and people say, oh, the game kicks off at 7, right? I don't care if it's 7 o'clock. It's still hot as hell in Miami at 7 o'clock at night. It's still 90 degrees. It's not 70 degrees in Miami in July.
It's not even 70 degrees in Miami in November.
Exactly. So have you ever said, hey, I think I'm not going to go to a game. It's too hot. I'm not going to go. No, normally you will go to most games you can go to. That's because you're a fan. That's the way I look at it.
I got my press credentials revoked from me because it was hot outside and I chose to wear shorts to the game. And because of that, I guess my dress attire was not, let's say, up to par with what Inter Miami standards are. And so they revoked my credentials for wearing shorts because it was 95 degrees outside. And I'm so sorry that I did that. But I look, my legs were white. I needed to get a tan that day. So
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like I mean, if you're a fan, you're gonna go to, like, most people that go to the games in general are the fans, like the super fans, the guys who support the team through and through. I feel like a lot of people who argue about people not going to the games are people who don't actually even go to the games at all. Anyway, they don't ever go to the games themselves.
yeah,
Like,
those are the people that go once in a while and then they bitch about it all the time.
exactly. Ooh, misheader by Gazdeck. So I just don't think, I feel like if you're a fan of the team, you're going to go to the games, and you're not even going to have to go to the games except maybe 2 extra weeks in the winter during the cold months. So is it really, you're really going to crash out about that, about 2 extra weeks in the cold months? That's where everybody's getting upset about. It just doesn't make any sense to me personally. It is what it is. I think the summer is way overrated for MLS. All your players are missing. Other tournaments are happening. The other league's big transfer window is going on during that time. So everybody's talking about the transfers in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A. They're talking about that. They're not talking about, oh yeah, hey, listen, Inter Miami, they're on a 2-game winning streak. Like, I mean, obviously the super fans are going to say that, but I'm talking about the global audience is not thinking about that.
No, definitely not. And I like the comment that Nick brings up here because I have a great way to rebuttal that comment. And, he says, look at the game played. Miami, when they played in KC in February, there was like 1,000 people because of the cold. Well, that was also a Champions League game. And because it had to be played on a Wednesday or a Thursday, they had to play it at night. But I would say if you're going to be playing in February in these cold weather cities, you're going to be playing a 1:00 game, a 2:00 game. The latest you're going to be playing is a 4:30 game. And you give the lower, the cities that are lower on the globe, the night games or the afternoon games, because the weather there is a little bit more convenient at that time. That's the way that I would do it. I mean, I'm not a meteorologist, Will, but it seems like that would be the easiest way to kind of accommodate that so that you don't play any night games. And I also think that was a little bit of an anomaly that it was that cold that night in Kansas City.
Well, also too, Kansas City's not good, so the fans weren't going to show up to an away game or a home game that the team's has no chance of winning. They're not a good team. Second of all, the Champions League attendance has been bad from many teams, even in LA. The LAFC games were poorly attended, and it's warm as hell there. Like, it's not a weather issue. Like, so it's more of a Champions Cup thing than it is a weather thing, right? It's just the team wasn't good. They didn't promote the Champions Cup very well. So I just think there was a lot of issues with that. And by the way, it's 1-0 still. We're the 76th minute. It looks like Miami, they're about to bring in Maxi Falcon, Fafa Pico, and Toto Alvarez. It looks like they're about to park the bus and go away with a 1-0 victory over Columbus. I mean, anything can happen, but it looks like they're preparing just to park the bus.
No, other way around. It looks like Gonzalo Lujan is going to be moved out to the right because Chelo Wiegand is coming out, and they will put a line of 5 in the back, or a line of 3, maybe a line of 5. It looks like it's going to be a 5-3-2. Yannick Bright is coming out, and coming in will be Maxi Falcon. So you have a right back and a center mid coming out. So you might see a Toto Aviles playing in the middle again. You saw how he played in the middle against LAFC those final minutes.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it looks like Yannick Bright's upset, or I don't know. It looked like he looked a little defeated there on the sidelines. Maybe he's just gassed. Are you surprised that Messi's still in the game?
Yes. I thought maybe he would only play 60 to 65 minutes today. But I also know that when Messi starts, he likes to finish games. He's not one that likes to come off. So, look, we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. Maybe he does pull him off here, and he has one more sub to make, I believe. So maybe he pulls him off in the third window here, maybe in the 80-something minute, just to make some time. We'll see.
Yeah, I think they need to rest him as much as they want if they just to strengthen themselves for the Vancouver match. So what do you think so far about this game? We're almost 80 minutes in. Has this been an underwhelming performance? Like, this is supposed to be like a big match between 2 undefeated teams. I personally think it's been a little underwhelming. I'm just being honest. I don't think it's been anything special.
Yeah, I think it's been underwhelming, but I think that's due to the fact that Inter Miami has played fantastic defensively, and Columbus has had various chances. They could have 3 or 4 already in the back of the net. And they just haven't finished. And I think that's what kind of made it a little bit underwhelming. Inter Miami, on the other hand, just really hasn't done much other than stay on their side of the field and getting that one goal. They really haven't done much the rest of the game. They've kind of just ceded the possession, like I said earlier, over to Columbus and allowed them to kind of do whatever they want to do and just hope that they can get something on the counter.
Yeah, that's why when Inter Miami's winning, but it doesn't really feel like they're winning, if that makes any sense. Like it just kind of feels like their goal earlier was nice by Karmaski, the header, but like both of these teams have played. The best word I could describe this game is sluggish. It's a very sluggish game. Seems a little just kind of like the both teams are playing heavy footed, a little lethargic, can't convert chances. Suarez was really like stuck in the mud big time. Like, he looked like using quicksand today. Compared to what he normally looks like, but just very lethargic, sluggish game. Nothing special, no high intensity, nothing like that. Champions League final against LAFC, the second leg was crazy because the stakes were high, right? Obviously LAFC and Miami are trying to advance to the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinals, but this game just feels like both teams are in cruise control. It is what it is. We're just showing up because we have to. Nothing crazy, man. Honestly, very, very underwhelming. It's the best way I would describe it. And Keyshawn, what's up, man? Appreciate you for stopping by tonight. I don't know if that's how you feel, Solana, but maybe I'm being hypercritical, but that's just kind of like my takeaway from this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been underwhelming. I also think, the scheduling has a little bit to do with it. Inter Miami having a game on Thursday, they're probably looking ahead, so they probably didn't put the full effort into this game that they probably should have. I think Columbus getting surprised with that goal really took them off their game and has them just really anxious. I've seen them, miss a few sitters that they would normally get. But overall, I think Columbus has played a pretty good game other than the fact that they haven't been able to finish.
And that's the big reason why I think that they miss Cucho Hernandez, that guy up top, even though Russell Rose had a pretty good season, just not the same, obviously. I don't know, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like the middle of the season, though, some of these games, they kind of become repetitive because they're not like you said, there's not high. A lot of people say there's not high stakes because there's no promotion relegation. You could be bad all summer long and still make the playoffs. Like look at the Galaxy right now. The Galaxy are terrible. They have not won a game this year, which is hard to believe. And when Puig comes back, they could turn around and make the playoffs. So there's really no punishment for their bad performance at the beginning of the season. And look, the promotion relegation thing, obviously, we're not going to dive down to that rabbit hole, but you get what I'm saying. It's like this doesn't really mean anything right now. It really doesn't. Like Miami will be in first place after this, but what are the real consequences of this?
Really nothing. And it's really what we talked about, when I was on with Danny and Chris on the Battered Herons on Monday on the Spanish show. We talked about that, and a lot of folks, criticized me because I said that this tie doesn't really matter, and I didn't mean it in a mean way or that it doesn't matter. Yeah, every game essentially matters, but in the grand scheme of things, a tie, getting a point in Chicago in a miserable game, because it was an absolute miserable game last week, and it's been another somewhat miserable game this week, but you're getting 4 points out of 6 and you're away from home. So I don't know how miserable you could be or how upset you could be about this, because at the end of the day, you're getting points. And yeah, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. If you're an LA Galaxy, because yeah, you can come back and have a great second half of the season and end up qualifying in 7th or 8th and make a run. And that's the good thing about the MLS and what MLS fans like. They love the parity. They love that you don't have to play well every single weekend. That there's not that pressure.
Good tackle by Toto Alvarez. Great tackle by Toto Alvarez.
And that was a terrible ball by Ustadi.
Yeah, it was. Mr. Mister said these games between good teams can be like this. Two sides cancel each other out a bit. And that's a good point, because I feel like if there's no stakes, like this isn't a championship game or an elimination game, there's not really that extra gear that gets these people going, these players going. So if this was like the Champions League final or semifinal, then yeah, I think we would see a little bit different effort, like a little bit more high stakes. But this is just another regular season game. Win or lose or draw, like I said, the stakes just aren't the same. And Keyshawn says, who do you see Miami using that DP spot on? I'll let you touch on that. I don't think it's going to be KDB. I think it's going to be someone else we're not talking about. Hopefully it's not Angel Di Maria, because I just think that would be a huge mistake to give a DP spot to a 37-year-old winger, honestly. Even though he's still good, I just think that'd be a disaster. They need to start getting younger. Oh, what a bad miss by Russell Rowe.
Yes, but also you need to remember the rules that they're going to have for the CONCACAF for the Club World Cup that's coming up this summer.
Yeah,
where you can essentially sign a player just for the FIFA Club World Cup. So it's gonna be really interesting to see who Inter Miami signs for the tournament, because they can. I don't know if they have to remain under the salary cap rules or not for that, or if they could sign a couple players specifically for the tournament or not. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I know that Di Maria has been linked to the team as well. KDB has been linked to the team. Personally, I'd prefer Di Maria over KDB if you gave me my choice. And I just think he just fits better with this team, with the overall vibe, and what we need on this team. Another winger would be fantastic, especially somebody like Di Maria, who, he's still in shape and he can still make a difference.
I want to put this out real quick to you, if you don't mind. I just realized this. There is. Oh, that was a bad miss by Russell Rowe. The NBA playoffs are going on right now. Now, I have said with the calendar, I wanted to put this up because I just saw this posted. I want MLS playoffs to compete against NBA playoffs because I'll take that. I think MLS playoff games matter. Like, you have a better chance of getting the audience involved and viewing the match. But is anybody really? I mean, I know there's MLS fans, but are people really going to pick, viewership wise, the NBA playoffs during an MLS regular, 3 months into the season? I mean, it just absolutely kills the ratings, man.
It does, but I mean, personally, I'm going to watch the Heat games, but I don't watch any of the other playoffs. Whereas, MLS, I'm probably more inclined to watch more games because I love soccer, and not to say that I don't love basketball, I do, but I'm just not that into basketball to where I'm going to watch, one of the Western Conference games, unless, maybe it's the LA Lakers, so I can, watch LeBron and hate on him a little bit. Yeah.
Well, they play tonight. So that's a game that's going to be played, and they play the Timberwolves tonight. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously you and I are the sickos. There's a lot of MLS sickos out there, but there's also a lot of casual fans who are going to choose NBA where they would have maybe watched an MLS game, but they're like, am I going to watch, let me see here. Am I going to watch the Lakers play the Timberwolves in the playoffs, the first game, or am I going to watch the St. Louis? Am I going to watch Minnesota United and FC Dallas, or am I going to watch Houston Dynamo and Colorado Rapids? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to watch that. And I love MLS, but like the regular season, if this is the playoffs, people are going to watch MLS like right now, or in 2 weeks, people are going to watch MLS. But this is, like I said, there's 3 periods of excitement in MLS. I've seen it. I've been covering the league for 10 years. I know how it is. There are 3 moments of hype, Solana. Number 1, the season opener. The first couple weeks, people are excited. MLS is back after a long break. People are ready to watch games again. The second one is the summer, when all the signings come in of new players and everybody wants to see their team and see if they're better, if they're worse. Like Messi, right? Obviously, coming into the summer, there was a little bit of a resurgence of excitement for the team. And the third one is the playoffs, because people want to see who the champion of the league is in MLS. Those are the 3 times, and everything in between is a dead period that nobody cares about. It's just the truth. I see it in the numbers. I see weekly recaps of MLS go from 3,000 views per episode the first 2 weeks all the way down to 1,000 views. I mean, why else would that be? It's because people are just like, okay, hey, we're into the grunt part of the season where, losing 2 games doesn't really matter right now. Losing 3 games doesn't really matter right now. I mean, it's just truth. I mean, I'm being honest. Like, that's just how it is. Like, it's up and down. Like, the Champions League is going to be popular, and it should be because it's a big deal. But right after that, it's going to die down until the signings start happening again.
I completely agree with you, and that's why, look, I think going head to head with the NBA and with the NHL in the playoffs wouldn't be a bad idea.
If it's your playoffs, it's not a bad idea, because I think we could compete with that.
Right. I think we can, and not only that, I think you can find the scheduling so that you could compete with them. Oh, wow. Inter Miami. Oh, no, he got called offsides. I don't know if he was offsides or not, but
It's close. It was close. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. We're not going to beat NBA and NHL on a regular season MLS game. That's just not going to happen. And honestly,
no.
this game should have been played tomorrow night. This game should have been the Sunday night game.
Absolutely, absolutely. It definitely should have. But I'm curious to see the viewership, anyways, just because it was promoted very well, it was hyped up very well. So I'm curious to see the viewership, and I don't blame the attendance so much on the fact fans, not liking the game. I think there was a lot of confusion in terms of what the weather was going to be like. It was supposed to be overcast with and really cold, and it actually looks like it's a nice day out there. So you could see a lot of the Columbus Crew faithful went out there, but there's no way that there's 62,000 people in there.
No way. No, there's like 45,000. It's still pretty good, though. It's bigger than any MLS stadium, but there's not 60,000. Let's be honest here. Call balls and strikes.
Isn't that like 3 out of the last 4 weeks where Inter Miami has played in a football stadium and they've gotten more than 40,000 fans? It was at Atlanta, at Chicago, and now in Cleveland. And I even saw a meme, which I don't know if you saw it, but about Cincinnati moving their game to another football stadium so that they could play Inter Miami at a football stadium as well.
I would think that if Miami played in Miami, right, not Fort Lauderdale, and they played at the stadium in Coral Gables, I would think that they would probably get 40,000 people a week, because it would be in the city. If they can make it work, I think they could get at least 30,000 a week at Hard Rock.
Hard Rock, yes. I think they could get 25, 30,000 consistently a week at Hard Rock. But it wouldn't look that great because you would have to close the entire upper bowl. The lower bowl is the one that holds the amount, and you don't want the stadium to look empty. But
who knows? Maybe they could fill it though. I mean, there's like people are 20,000 fans, probably more like 10,000, because I'd say that there are some fans in Fort Lauderdale, but I would say 10,000 fans are making that drive to every home game. That's 45 minutes to the stadium to watch Miami play. And if you're in the city, I would assume that there would be more people. But yeah, I mean, I can just drive down to Hard Rock and watch the game. I don't want to drive to Fort Lauderdale, but I'll drive to Hard Rock and watch the match.
Yeah. I think there would be more people that would attend. But look, I really love the feel that you get at Chase Stadium. I mean, really the closeness that you are to the players. The feeling that you get, when the players come out, when the fans are singing and chanting. I mean, it's really second to none. And I even though it's kind of like a high school stadium, it really does have a great environment and a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how much this changes when that stadium opens next year, which is going to be crazy, man. That's a world-class stadium.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. There's a lot of fans that are upset about the ticket prices coming out. Apparently, for some of the high-end ticket prices, they could go up to as much as $12,000 per ticket per season.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it comes with like all you can eat, all you can drink, your own private entrance, and a bunch of extra, specs. So it's actually, if you have the money and you want to, it's not a terrible deal when you really think about it, because some of the prices these days at stadiums for food, for concessions, are absolutely crazy.
Oh, they are, for sure. And we got about 3 minutes of added time. Inter Miami, almost scored a goal there, Gazdak. Inter Miami up 1-0 over the Columbus Crew. A little less than 3 minutes left. It's been a kind of an uneventful game. But next week is right around the corner, man. And we're going to see a showdown between Inter Miami, clearly the best team in the Eastern Conference, versus the best team in the Western Conference, to see who the best team is in MLS, in a tournament that is the biggest in North America. And I tell you what, Solana, if your team or the Vancouver Whitecaps win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, I mean, that would be Messi's first Champions League win since 2015 against Juve.
And what better way to do it than here?
I mean, it's obviously, the UEFA Champions League is obviously, a little more difficult, but still, I mean, still in the Champions League of our continent, right? Our region. That's a big feat, man. That'd be great. I mean, that'd be great for Vancouver too, obviously. That would, and I think that they can do it. I think, oh my God, what a whiff was it Gazdak again? Dude, that was a bad miss. That was a bad miss by Gazdak. Oh, Nazis hugging the ref, man. We might need to see a card there. See his pass.
Hey, shouldn't that be a fine or a suspension?
I don't know.
Or something?
I don't know. That is a little weird, isn't it?
I don't know, but hold on. I got to take a picture of that. That was a little weird. I hope they replay that.
They are replaying it right now.
Great.
Maybe they're not. I'm just gonna rewind it. I'm gonna take a picture of it.
Yeah, me too. Because I definitely gotta talk about that.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the ref is definitely not into Nazi's hug.
No, definitely not. Wow. All right, so let's see. Still 1-0. Looks like it's about to finish. Only 45 seconds left. There's Noah Allen, my bud.
Your boy.
Yeah, man. He's really something, man. And I really hope Greece qualifies to the World Cup and he gets a call up to the Greek national team and he's able to experience a World Cup with with the Greek national team.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he's not going to get called up to the USMNT, which he argue he should at least get a call up into the youth team. But yeah, I'm hoping the best for him, man. I'm hoping maybe he keeps playing the way he does. Maybe he'll get a move. Maybe he'll get a chance to go play in Europe. Oh, too hard of a touch. Oh, a little shaky defense by Miami right here.
They really
Bad
know how to make it cardiac on us, huh?
Well, I just, is that the final whistle?
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, final whistle. Inter Miami has beaten the Columbus Crew 1-0. Inter Miami is I think they're the only unbeaten team left in MLS.
Yes, sir. Last unbeaten team in the MLS.
Let's see. Just a double check. We got to double check our work here. Yeah, I mean, yep, they are. They are. I honestly think Miami is only going to lose 2 games this year. I'm talking about lose 2 games. Miami is going to only lose 2 games this season.
No,
I think
that's a lot to ask for. I think they'll lose a handful of games in the summer months. Remember that these guys are going to play a lot of games in Club World Cup. There's going to be some games where Messi's going to be going to the national team. So I think they'll lose more than that. But look, they've lost only 1 so far this season, and that was that CONCACAF game against LAFC. So
I think that when I say lose 2 games, I mean like they are legitimately only going to lose 2 games in MLS. Like they are going to have a lot of draws. Like I'm not saying they're going to win all their games, but I think they only had 4 losses last year, and I think the team's better this year. They only had 4 losses in MLS last year.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, then maybe 3 or 4, But if I was a betting man and you told me 2, I'd bet over. But if you told me 5, I might bet under.
Let's see. How many games will Inter Miami lose this season? Well, guys, listen, I appreciate you for tuning in tonight. It's been not the greatest game, but hey, at least someone won. It wasn't a draw that left both these teams unbeaten. Be on the lookout for a recap on Monday. I'm going to bring those back. God, the stadium cleared out pretty quickly too. Also, we will be doing a live watch along for leg 1 against Vancouver. So look out for that as well. Miami versus Vancouver, 2 of the best teams, 2 of the 2 best teams in MLS. See who actually is the best team remaining. Solana, where can people follow you at before I let you go?
You can follow at all my social medias at Dice El Dani, and also follow my Substack where I write articles on Inter Miami and on Club Nacional de Fútbol and on some Uruguayan players. So definitely check out my stuff on there.
Appreciate you for joining, my friend. Make sure you like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 7,000 by the end of the month. We're over 6,500 now. Hit the little bell notification so you never miss a video. Solana, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Until next time, I will see you all soon.